2 months ago we bought a house, and with that house I got my very first craft room. This video is the first video in a series all about making over and organising that craft room. Today we're going to be looking at the plans for my craft room, my inspiration, my mood boards, as well as a before and after of the decorating and furnishing of the craft room, which is now done. So this is my craft room inspiration Pinterest board, and I will link it down in the description if you want to take a closer look at some of these photos, but I am going to take you through a few of them and explain what I want out of my craft room. So if we scroll down to the bottom, we get to those pins that I pinned right at the beginning when I first made the board. So when you search for craft room on the internet, you tend to get craft rooms a bit like this photo here, with white Ikea furniture and bright, colourful craft supplies. And I knew that this room wasn't for me. It wasn't what I wanted. It's a bit too modern, and I like a little bit more sort of rustic character, vintage furniture, wood tones. So that's kind of what I wanted out of my craft room. So if I take you up through the pins as I went down the massive rabbit hole that is Pinterest and pinned, I think there's over 300 photos on this board. I'm not going to take you through all of them, but hopefully you can see as we scroll up more of what I want out of my craft room. I want some wooden furniture and I want a little bit more colour. In fact, I'm planning on painting the walls a dusty pink. So in terms of the craft room, when you have a craft room that does have a lot of those wood tones and that vintage furniture, it can feel quite dark, like this room here with all of these baskets of yarn. It feels a little bit dark, and although it is quite vintage inspired, is a little bit too dark for me. My craft room is quite a small room. It's only 7.5 feet square, so I need to be really careful in terms of whether I put too much dark in the room, because I do want my office to feel light and airy whilst I'm working in there, because that's just my preferred style for my home. In the house, we're trying to balance that light and airy feel with modern touches and lots of like rustic wood furniture, and I wanted to bring that into my craft room as well. So let's start looking through some of these images. So I really loved sort of the more maximalist style with lots of trinkets around, and I want to create an inspiring space. And for me, inspiration is a lot of nature, because a lot of my crochet designs are inspired by nature, by flowers. So I wanted a room that had these sort of elements and potentially some sort of inspiration board, a notice board like this, filled with sort of inspirational images that I collect over time that can sort of inspire my future crochet designs. The other thing as well about a lot of these more cottagey feel rooms, if I scroll back down here, this looks like a kitchen, but still it's sort of that cottagey feel. You can see it's fairly bland in terms of colour. A lot of the cottagey feel is browns, neutrals, wood tones and soft greens, and I like a little bit more colour than that. And like I said, I am planning on painting the room a light dusty pink, and I am going to have a lot of colourful yarn on display. So in my craft room, I want to merge that more modern style with the colourful craft supplies with this more wood toned vintagey style, and I think that's quite tricky, but I really like this one here. It still feels quite modern, but there is sort of that vintage inspired wood rustic feel. I hope this all makes sense from the images of what I'm describing that I have for the vision in my head. I'm going to pull out a few of these images that sort of stick out to me and that I really remember from when I was doing this, because I did actually end up pinning some of these more than once as well. So this I really like because it's not too dark, there are still wood tones, it's quite maximalist, but it's also quite organised. I like that the desk is white. That would be really good for me for when I'm doing tutorials. I've got like a built-in white background for the tutorials, but there are still sort of these wooden tones. So the colour theme is going to be that dusty pink with wood tones, pine wood tones in fact, so not too much of sort of like a dark sort of mahogany wood, more of like a pine oak toned. I hope that makes sense in terms of like that medium, light to medium wood tone, white and dusty pink. So that's sort of the colour scheme that I'm going for. Let's keep scrolling, see if there's any here we can pull out and talk about. So this one here, I actually pinned quite a few images. This is not a very good quality image, but I really liked these little wooden storage units for your craft supplies. So I am thinking of getting some of these for my craft room, because I think they'd be really handy just to have like a drawer of stitch markers, a drawer of buttons or ribbons or embroidery thread. So I'd really love to get a couple of like desk organisers. And then let's keep scrolling and see if any of these stick out enough for me to want to talk about it. You can see here I went for a few more lighter craft rooms. Like I said, I want it to feel quite light and airy. We've got some more modern craft rooms mixed in as well, because like I said, I'm trying to sort of make a craft room that's me, and none of these are me. However, this image is probably my favourite one on this whole Pinterest board, because it feels so very much like me. There's sunshine streaming in, we've got some wooden shelves with colourful yarn, we've got a cat on the table, there's a sewing machine, there's a pile of granny squares. This is what I want my office to be. It feels warm and inviting and like a nice place to be whilst you're crafting, and it's going to double up as my office where I work as well, and I edit these videos and I write up my patterns. So I want it to be a space that I love to be in. I really love colourful yarn on wooden units, so I knew that I wanted to get a wooden unit, ideally secondhand, ideally vintage. But as you'll see in my tour, I did end up getting a secondhand unit that's not too old. It's only about 20-25 years old, and it's pine, so it's perfect. And I'm really happy that I got that, and I'm so excited to fill it with yarn. So if we keep scrolling up, we've got a more modern, lighter themed craft room here. I really like the idea of covering the walls in little handmade trinkets that I make, and I thought that could be quite a fun thing to document on this channel as well, is to, you know, make some fun embroideries or crochet wall hangings and hang them up in my office, and sort of you can come along for the ride while I decorate my craft room as well. Here's another image that I love and I really remember, and this is a wall of sock yarn in a yarn shop, it looks like from the title, but those wood cabinets filled with yarn, yeah, that is exactly what I want. So I think now I am going to, oh yeah, the last thing I want to talk about is that inspiration board. I pinned quite a lot of inspiration boards. Here's quite a simple one. And here's a gallery wall that I thought was really lovely. I think I will stick to doing it on a cork notice board though, just because I don't want to ruin the paintwork that I'm going to paint. I also like the idea of bringing a little bit of autumn into the office as well. Autumn is one of my, I think it is probably my favourite season. I love the colours and I love sort of the things that are associated with autumn, you know, the forest animals, turning leaves, mushrooms, things like that. So I think bringing a little bit of that into the craft room as well would be good. And I know this sounds like a lot to cram into a small space. However, I'm going to try and be super smart with my furniture choices and storage and shelving to try and make sure I can bring sort of everything into this craft room that I want. I'm hoping to store most, if not all, of my craft supplies in this small room, so I'm going to have to, you know, have tall cabinets and shelves going on. As we get to my more recent pins and the end of this little tour of my Pinterest board, we get to where I finally decided on a pink paint colour. And I searched for this paint colour. It's a shade of Farrow and Ball paint, and I searched for it online and I found quite a few rooms that have that dusty pink, and I wanted to have a look to see what sort of colours people paired with it and what sort of furniture they had with it, and whether wood tones look good with it. And I think you can see there's quite a lot of wood paired with this pink. This pink's quite a warm, almost peachy pink, and I think that, you know, lends it to quite a lot. And we'll just end on this image here that also stands out to me. I feel like this is a really nice blend of that modern craft room feel, but with a vintage touch. So now I'll give you a tour of my craft room before we make it over, and then we'll move on to my mood board. So this is the room that is going to become my craft room. So it is quite a small bedroom. It's about 7.5 feet square. I'll just come in and shut the door and give you a pan around the room so you can see what we're working with. So we'll start with the door we just came in. Well, I have got paint samples on the wall, I'll talk about that in a minute. So yeah, so we've got this notice board that the previous owners left. I'm probably going to leave that there. And then over here we've got this really annoying box, and that's because the stairs are actually underneath there. So there's actually just a box to sort of cover where there's a diagonal line where the stairs are. Hope that makes sense. So yeah, and then above it is some horrible black shelving that is going to get taken down. And then if I pan around, there's this giant notice board the previous owner left, which I think my partner's going to have in his office. And then I've got my desk, which I have done all of my filming at today for all of my tutorials. That's going because it's too small. I'm going to replace it with a bigger desk, kind of across this box and along this wall a bit, kind of like a corner desk, because that's what the previous owner did when we viewed the house, and I thought that was quite a good way of using this space here, which is kind of unusable because of this box. So yeah, that desk is going to get replaced. Let's just have a little look at this. So I bought this in Dunelm, which is a homeware shop in the UK, and it is a lampshade covered with, I don't know if you can see that, embroidered daisies, and I just thought that was very me. So that's going to go up on the ceiling. So I have bought two things so far for the office, and that's this big chair, which is actually a gaming chair. I wanted a big gaming chair because it would be nice and supportive and comfortable for me with all of my health problems. And then I also got this charity shop find. So this is a pine dresser, which I'm going to use to store yarn in the top, and then fabric and photography equipment in the bottom. And that is actually, I've found out since, it's actually an old Ikea flat pack pine furniture that was arranged from like 25 years ago, I think. So yeah, but I really love it. So that's gonna have stuff in. And then my partner's also given me this old pine shelf that we're gonna cut in half and put some shelves up above the desk. Right, let's talk about paint colours. So I want this room to be pink. I love pink. If you've been around my channel for a while, you'll know that I love pink, but there's a specific shade of pink that I like, and that is the millennial pink, and I've had a lot of trouble trying to find the perfect shade of pink. As you can see by all of these paint samples on the wall, I finally found one. It's this one here. So this is a Farrow and Ball colour called Pink Ground, which is a pretty expensive paint, so I might end up getting that colour matched. And then the last thing to talk about is this really messy plastering job that the plasterer did. We had some electrical work done to the house needed a partial rewire, and the plasterer did a horrendous job. So that's all going to need to get sanded off. So the next step for this room is we're going to try and clear as much of it out, and then it's going to get decorated. I don't know if me and my partner will do the decorating between us, or if we're going to pay someone else to do it, because with my health problems, it will probably take me a really long time to paint this room, even with Liam's help, so yeah. So what we'll do now is I'll hop onto my laptop and I will show you my mood board and floor plan for this craft room. So here is my mood board. This is a mixture of that inspiration that I showed you at the beginning of this video from that Pinterest board, along with some things that I already have, some things that I've shopped for, some things I'm planning on getting, and hopefully we can kind of see how this will come together. I will zoom in and we'll take it one step at a time. Let's start up here with me, because obviously this is my craft room, I'm going to be in it, and that paint colour we've already talked about. I've also got a stack of blankets because I do want to figure out some sort of way of displaying some blankets, even if they're just folded up on a shelf in the background of my videos while I'm filming my podcast. I would like to have a few of my blankets out, because crochet blankets are my first craft love, and they will always have a special place in my heart, and it's the thing I love designing the most. So if we move down a little bit, we've got that lampshade that I showed you in the tour. I also am planning on putting up some pine shelves that I showed you in the tour as well. My partner's brother is going to cut that piece of pine in half and finish the shelves for us. And then I do want some plants in my office. I used to have a lot of houseplants a few years ago before I got ill, and then I ended up giving them all away because I was unable to look after them. I'm now ready to start looking after plants again. I'm well enough to have a few plants in my craft room, and I think that's really important because it's something that I love. I've then got that mood board we talked about and those wooden storage units. I found these ones which are sort of commercially available. They are sort of like mock vintage in like a vintage style. I could get these, but I am going to try and scout out some secondhand ones. We've got a big charity shop down the bottom of the road, and me and my partner do go to charity shops fairly regularly. I'm also going to shop for some furniture as well, but unfortunately so far the only piece of furniture I found for my office is that unit that I showed you in the tour, which I do love, and I would love to get some more pine furniture in. However, I have just put in an Ikea order to come soon, and that is for some Ikea furniture here. We've got a nice classic Billy bookcase. This is because I cannot find a pine bookcase that will fit this narrow space that I've got for a bookcase for all of my craft books and my patterns and some storage boxes. So the Billy bookcase is sort of like my backup, and I can always sell it or give it away if I do end up finding a pine bookshelf further down the line. But for now, we've got a Billy. I've then got a modern white desk, again from Ikea. Because it is good value for money and it's white, and I would rather sort of, if I'm gonna buy some more vintagey things, I'd rather it be accessories rather than the desk itself. I did find a really beautiful like artist's wooden desk in a charity shop, but it needed a little bit too much restoration for me, so I have decided to go for white desks. I've also got this unit here. This is an Ikea unit. I did try to find a cabinet or a sideboard in pine. I couldn't find one that I liked. And then this Ikea unit is called Havster. I will link it down in the description because it's currently been reduced from £299 to £99, and it's solid pine. It's not like the Billy that's particle board. It is solid pine, but it is painted white. So I will link that down below because I think that's a bargain, and if you want one, they also come in grey, and there's a few other different styles of cabinets that have all been like massively reduced because I think they're like on clearance. So yeah, if you're after a cabinet, this is a good one. I've also got a lamp. If you've watched my podcast before, I had a big lamp. I used to film I had a desk on the side of my living room when we lived in our rental house. It was a gold lamp and it was always in the background of my podcast. I've actually bought the desk version of that same lamp. It's from Dunelm, the same shop I got from the Lampshade from, and just because I really love that style of lamp, and it's kind of, it would feel wrong to not have it in my office after it's been in the back of so many of my videos. So yeah, so I've got that there. I've got that chair I showed you as well, that gaming chair. I am going to cover this in a crochet blanket though, so it's not so sort of in your face black. I tempted to get a white one, but I was worried that the white one would get it would discolour more easily, so I ended up going with black, thinking that I would probably throw a crochet blanket over it anyway, and that's what I've done so far when I have filmed in it. I've also got so many storage baskets, so there are going to be some storage baskets around. So let's have a look at this here. You're probably wondering what this is. So this is actually some patchwork fabric. I bought a charm pack, which is a pack of, I think it's like 30 or 40 4-inch square pieces of fabric from all the same range, from the same designer. And what I'm planning on doing is on my desk, it's quite a large desk, I'm making a corner desk like I said in the tour, and I'm going to have my sewing machine out on my desk, and I want a dust cover for it. So I'm planning on making a patchwork dust cover using this range of fabric. I really like the colours and the patterns, and I think it's that vintage inspired modern look that I love and I want. And here is a rug. I've had this rug for a really long time. Before I got long COVID, I bought a cottage to do up, and I bought a few things for the cottage to do up. Then I got ill and I had to sell the cottage, and I never ended up renovating it. And this was a rug that I bought for my bedroom in that cottage, and it fits my office, so we're gonna have that rug on the floor, and it will bring a little bit more pink into the room, and I think it looks really nicely with the wood and the white. We've also got some yarn there just to represent that I'm gonna have a lot of colourful yarn in this. We've got some more houseplants and some flowers. We've also got these storage boxes. These are Ikea. These are from Ikea. They're called like Kvarnvik or something like that. I just really like them. I think they've got a little bit of that vintage touch that I want, but they're not dark coloured. I think they would be good for storing, you know, maybe cross stitch kits in and yarn scraps and things like that. So I think they will be really handy. And then in terms of the window, I want light, airy feel, and I feel like a lot of that comes from the window dressing. So we've got some white slatted blinds and some linen curtains so that I can play around with the lighting for my videos, just so I've sort of got that options to have the more bright light in winter and to soften that light a little bit in the summer, because I will be getting direct sun in the afternoons in the summer. So yeah, that is my mood board. I'm quite proud of this. I did this in a piece of software called Canva. If you're interested in it, I use Canva for a lot of things to do with Meema Makes. It just was really handy to make this mood board, and I absolutely love how this theme has come together. So hopefully I've communicated with you what I want the office to be, and I'm hoping that when I walk into my office, this is the feel that I get. So here is the floor plan. So this is the door that we came in that tour, and this is sort of where I want my furniture to be. We've got that dresser from Ikea, we've got the chair here, I've got all the measurements down of everything. This is again in Canva still, so this is, I've done floor plans for a lot of the other rooms in the house on Canva as well. It's just such a great piece of software. So underneath all of this furniture, I'll just show you, we've got that box there, in that corner, and then over here we've got the window. So those greyed out bits are sort of bits where I can't put furniture. So like I said, we've got that dresser and that chair, and here I'm going to, on top of that box, I'm going to put the same desktop as the desk that's going to go along here to hopefully create some sort of a corner desk. I think that would be really helpful when I'm working and when I'm crafting. On top of the desk that's on the box, I'm going to put that white cabinet, the Havster cabinet, and that's going to have all of my hand-dyed yarn in and probably some other supplies as well. And in the dresser, I think I'm going to stick to the commercial yarn, but we'll see how that works out once I'm actually putting my yarn in it. And then up in this corner, this is a really awkward space here to find a piece of furniture that had a lot of storage in. So the Billy bookcase is what I've gone for, but I'm hoping in the future I'll be able to replace it with a narrow pine bookshelf. That's my goal. And then the shelves that you saw are going to be above my desk here, and above the desk I am going to put a calendar and inspiration board. Okay, I'm going to go away for a few weeks now. It's going to be a few seconds for you, but I'm going to go away for a few weeks. We're going to decorate the room and we're going to put all the furniture together, and then we're going to come back and I'm going to show you the room before I move in all of my craft supplies. So today is the 24th of May, and I did intend to try and get some footage of the decorating and the putting the furniture together for the craft room, which is now done, but I didn't, so here we are. And I thought it would be nice to give you a tour of the bare bones of the craft room before I start moving in all of my yarn and organising it and filming that process, which I am going to film. And we'll see sort of the bare bones of the office and my lovely pink walls, which I absolutely love being in here already. It feels like a safe space where I can just be myself, and I know that I'm going to enjoy working in here. I have started working in here in fact today, and I'm really enjoying it. So yeah, I will take you around the room and I'll show you what we've done. So let's get this camera off of the tripod and I will show you around the craft room. So let's start the tour where we started before, and that was the back of the door. So that I did get some paint on this notice board unfortunately, and I have started pinning up some pictures of yarn and some of my crochet samples that I've made for tutorials and things. So yeah, so that's the back of the door, and then remember that big mess of plaster, it's gone and it's lovely and pink now. So let's move this way because this is where all the exciting stuff happens. So I have moved a few things in here. Let me just see if I can get right in this corner. Get rid of this chair so we can see a bit more, and I'll just give a pan around the room so you can kind of see what I've managed to do. So here is that cabinet I was talking about and my lovely corner desk. And then we've got some stuff on that bookshelf in the corner. We don't have any curtains or blinds yet. We need to cut them to size, and I don't have any shelves up here just yet. I do, however, have that beautiful lampshade up on the ceiling, and I haven't really done anything with the dresser yet. There's some stuff in there, but that's kind of it. So yeah, let me just go over here and I'll give you another pan around the room so we can kind of see what we're doing. So here is that cabinet that's going to have my yarn in, and then up here are those Kvarnvik boxes from Ikea. Haven't put those metal labels on them just yet. I realised there's a plug here, and that's going to be great because I'm going to put fairy lights all around the top of the room. I think that'll make it really cosy in here. And then we've got that desk lamp, and then here I am editing this video, in fact. Yeah, and we've got a calendar at the back here. I really like this calendar. I'll just show you it. So it's a pucker pad undated monthly planner for 12 months, and I really like having months to view paper calendars, and I think this will be really helpful for not just organising the Meema Make stuff, but also my life. And then I did unpack a big box of craft books and magazines, and I am thinking about doing a sort of crochet and craft bookshelf tour. So if that interests you, let me know down in the comments, because I think that could be quite fun to film. And then down here we've got some magazines and some printed patterns. And then just ignore my tripod from just filming the introduction of this video. And I've got some flowers in a vase here. That's my view outside into the lovely grey British summertime. So yeah, that's kind of where we're up to. The next step is to put up some shelves and put up curtains, curtain rail, and we have got the brackets in here for those slatted blinds still. And then yeah, we're gonna unpack some yarn together. I'll give you a full stash tour. I'm gonna go do some giveaways of some yarn that I don't want. I'm gonna sell some yarn, I'm gonna organise my yarn, I'm gonna go through all of my fabric and decide what I'm keeping and what I'm not, and just generally organise this craft room. If that sounds really interesting to you, then do hit that subscribe button and tick the notification bell so you can see all of my videos about my craft room update, and I will see you next time.